Transition by me. The Bears introduced Ben Johnson as their head coach yesterday. He remains in the NFC North. Let's be adults for like 2 more minutes. And he's already mixing it up with his fellow NFC North opponents.
Dan Campbell, Kevin O'Connell. We're talking about 2 guys that are going for Coach of the Year awards as the season ends here. And to be quite frank with you, I kind of enjoy being Matt LaFleur twice a year.
Okay.
Wow. Dan, what's the
like
ceiling for Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams? And feel free to comment on the Matt LaFleur disc.
The LaFleur disc is, my thought is, I hope they're boys. My guess is they're boys. If they're not boys, that's a lot. The ceiling, if he can get all that untapped talent out of Caleb, I think this could be a playoff contending football team. A lot of moves that have to get added to their team, but I think they could play good football next year.
Cam?
I already know what I'm going to ask him when we see him in the studio tomorrow, and I kind of hope that he doesn't even know Matt LaFleur, which he will even make it even better. Because we have to stop with this homeboy mentality in society as if to say that we really care when we really don't about the competition.
He's not going to be in studio. He'll be very remote, but he will be on the show tomorrow.
Oh.
Number one.
Technology
Number two.
update.
I'm just letting him. So I'm here to serve. Number two, I think it's important. That is important.
Yourself.
You open in your mouth. Now you got to go out in the field. You lose to Green Bay next year, we're going to be playing that soundbite over and over and over again.
He's my favorite offense to watch over the last 4 or 5 years. I'll give him that one for sure. He's awesome.
It better look like that when you get in Chicago.
He's awesome.
You know, you playing indoors in Detroit. You're at Soldier Field in Chicago.
I don't know about this group. Things got a little dicey. I'm trying to keep my job. I mean, y'all got it going off the rails. Bye, everyone. Be safe.
Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to our humble abode, the Thunder Dome. On this Sports Thursday, January 23rd, 2025, this program starts now. Football! It's wonderful, and obviously we got championship weekend and championship Sunday ahead in the NFL, and there's so much to talk about happening around the NFL, college ball. We got signings, we got coaches, we got general managers, we got rumors, we got this, we got that. We have a fantastic show today. Michael Lombardi will be joining us in about 20 minutes. He's currently the general manager for the University of North Carolina Tar Heel football team. How's life in college, Paisan? But also, he is a guy that's pretty plugged in basically everywhere around the NFL. What's he hearing, especially about that Raiders job? You know, Michael Lombardi speaks about the Raiders a lot because that's where you got to start. And I think he has so much respect and appreciation for the Davis family and everything that Al did for him and the Raiders as a whole. And what he's been seeing out of them the last couple of years, he says, this is crap.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, he says that, Raiders fans get mad at him. I think they hate him. But now his guy, Tom Brady, is one of the owners. They run and everything. So it's like, I feel like Lombardi's going to be pretty dialed in on what's going on there. How about all the other coaching hires? What about all the other general manager hires that need to take place? What does Paisan say about any of it? We will talk to him in about 19 minutes. I cannot wait to hear from him. Last week, his hair a little disheveled.
He did. Oh, yeah.
Looked like he was in the middle of it a little bit.
Yep.
FaceTime with him this morning. Feels like he's okay. Feels like he has found, he's found air. You know, he's back because they have a lot to do in a very short amount of time as they try to, kind of get used to the college football lifestyle. We'll be joined by Shams Charania in the second hour. Okay, basketball's happening.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. It must be. Oh, Pacers are in Paris today.
Oui, aujourd'hui, bonne chance on Pacers on Paris. You know, like there's a lot going on here. Tyrese Halliburton, king of Paris this past summer, as you recall.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't sweat one time, but he still walked out of there with a gold medal.
Sure. No big
He was
deal.
having a blast. Happy birthday, fifth. You know, the whole thing was happening for Tyrese Halliburton. Taking on Wemby in his home country. I believe Netflix is also having a docu-series released at some point about the Olympics where they go into the locker room of the French and the Americans and Serbians and everything like that. So I think basketball is kind of happening, especially internationally today, 2 o'clock on NBA TV.
Okay.
Everybody has that. And I believe they're playing again on Saturday, and I think that one's going to be on ESPN. But basketball's happening. We'll talk to Shams Charania about the drama.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Have to.
Jimmy Butler down there in Miami.
Oh.
Remember, Shams came out and said, Jimmy Butler wants out of Miami. Okay, breaking. And then Jimmy Butler's agent says, Shams is the new guy on the block. He doesn't know anything. Yeah. Tried to discredit Shams.
Oh, yeah.
Tried to bury Shams. Shams in a new location, a new network, at a new senior role. And this guy tried to bury Shams. And all Shams did was sit in the pocket and say, nah, My sources are good. It's been triple stamped, double stamped. Jimmy wants out of there. And as it kind of unfolds, Jimmy wants out of her. And it's getting ugly. He talked on First Take this morning about how it's like a divorce. You know, right now it's just like, is this going to be a messy divorce, or are they going to figure out how to make this happen? Jimmy missed the plane. Happens. He's planning on showing up on his own plane. You know, it's nice to him.
Yeah.
He's been suspended 9 games over the last 2 weeks by Pat Riley and the Miami Heat or whatever. So this is basically a Shams story from day one. Even though his agent and everybody else, Pat Riley, even I think everybody tried to bury Shams. Shams just kind of, you know, stayed in the pocket, kind of taking it all, and now only elevated himself, which we're proud of Shams because we've known him since day one. He'll join us in a second hour. And then Daniel Jeremiah of NFL Network, Mr. Move the Sticks, a draft analyst and scout formerly in the NFL, now in the media world. He'll do the play-by-play of the Combine with Rich Eisen. Will be joining us in a second. I'm going to ask him some questions. Absolutely. Everybody's talking. Talk Steelers are plus corner, not touch me. One after the hammer. Cowboys, AP Tones here. All the finalists for the awards that you voted on are out.
Yeah, they are.
36 years as a football coach, 18 in college, 18 in the NFL. Chuck Pagano is here.
Baby.
Chuck, everybody's talking about this Borgonzi quote and Brinker quote down there in Tennessee. Now, Borgonzi has been brought in as the general manager. Brinker is the president of football operations. Borgonzi is handling the draft and free agency. Brinker is the one that's going to cut it down to the final 53. They're very tight. They're on the same page. Brinker was on a local radio station with Ramon Foster and a few others, and this is what he had to say about that number 1 overall pick that they have. Are you going to trade it, or are you going to utilize that pick that you have down there in Tennessee? Here's the president of football operations for the Tennessee Titans, Chad Brinker.
Yeah, we got to look at all the options. But the one thing I will say, if there's a generational talent, you don't pass that up. You can't pass that up. And then if we feel that there's a generational talent right there, what we call a blue player, a guy that is a franchise type player, a player that tips the field in your favor every time they step on the field, like you cannot pass that up. But we'll also look at all the options, not only at the number 1 overall pick, but in all the rounds. I mean, we gotta see what the value is. We gotta see what's on the table. We gotta, do what's best for the Tennessee Titans and helping us build a football team that can sustain over time. And I've emphasized how important the draft is, that the core of this roster is going to be built through the draft. We're looking at all those options.
It's very interesting. He was brought in 2023. Callahan was brought in last year. Now the GM, Borgonzi, out of Boston's been brought in, this year. So everybody's at different times. Allegedly, Borgonzi and Brinker are on the same page. They'll be the ones creating the roster. What's that mean for Callahan? We shall see. But a once-in-a-generation type player potentially at number 1. Now, this has obviously sent ripple effects through it all, and we'll talk to Daniel Jeremiah in a second. What is it? Is that Travis Hunter he's talking about? Abdul Carter? Who's the once-in-a-generation player that we're potentially missing or not thinking about? And how come every time they talk about quarterbacks, it's Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, insert name of quarterback, insert name of quarterback, insert name of quarterback, and there's never a Will Howard. What am I missing about Will Howard in this entire thing?
Ever since you told me to take a peek at him a week ago, 10 days ago, and I took a peek at him, and then I watched him, watch you guys on the Manning Cat. You guys crushed it again, obviously. The numbers speak for themselves,
Amen.
But anyway, I know you don't like any flowers being thrown at you guys.
Thank you. Let's keep it moving, yes.
But he was absolutely just incredible in that game, and he's played so well. And I don't see it. He just the metrics are all there, right? 6'4", 235, 240 pounds, mobile enough. He can get out of harm's way. Quarterback runs, certainly accurate. Got the arm talent, make all the throws. Yeah, why not a big, smart, physical? And a dog. And a guy that apparently, like, all those studs around him, like, they love him and they play for him. So that's the biggest thing, like generational talent. Brinker's talking about it, like, I got very lucky, no pun intended. When I got the job here in India, 2012. Andrew Luck sitting there, right? Yeah, we're going to pass on Andrew. No. Generational talent, to say the least, right? So if there's a guy there, and this may be the guy after they do the vetting process, I don't see why this guy, I think, AP Tone, you got him wearing the 4th.
I got it a couple times.
That's what I'm saying. We'll talk to Daniel Jeremiah about this.
So I don't know what I'm missing.
And me neither. And I've already set the table with Daniel Jeremiah, like, hey, I just want to let you know there's some heat coming. because all you draft experts have left this guy out. I just want to know why. He's liked by his teammates. He's big. He shows up on the biggest stage. And he was on our show just cool. He's one of the lads.
Awesome, yeah.
He's one of the lads. I don't fully get it. Now, granted, Shedeur can spin it, and obviously his dad is one of the greatest football players of all time, one of the greatest athletes of all time, and we've seen him have to grow, and he's been very mature for a while. I'm not saying anything against Shedeur. I'm not saying anything against Cam Ward. He's played a lot of football, obviously, went down to Miami, changed their entire culture, and did a great job this season, and he led an offense that was very explosive. Not saying anything about Cam, but just a lack of respect at all for Will Howard. It doesn't make any sense, because he's being treated as somebody that's like 5'11". He's being treated as somebody that's like 5'10". Maybe he doesn't have the physical stats to be able to keep up with all the stuff he's been able to do on the field, but he's huge. He's gigantic. He can run. This one doesn't make any sense. And I guess it's going to be because he's surrounded by talent, but when he was at Kansas State his final year, he wasn't.
Yeah.
He's Big 12 Player of the Year. And that's over Quinn Ewers. That's over everybody at Texas. That's whenever, Oklahoma's in the Big 12. Obviously, West Virginia was in the Big 12, so somehow he won Player of the Year over everybody that was with the Mountaineers. It's like, this guy's a good player. He's played a lot of ball. Seems to be cool. I just want to hear from Dan Jeremiah. We'll talk to him in the next hour.
Well, in the surrounded by talent thing, like, sure, you can get that, but Shedeur Sanders, they're talking about Travis Hunter being that generational player number one, and Shedeur played with him, so I don't know why that isn't a conversation at all when it comes to him. I believe some of the other wide receivers for Colorado, they're pegged to be drafted, second, third round too, so they're great players. And then you think about Cam Ward, like, sure, ACC, maybe he didn't go up against the best guys, but also he was throwing to, Restrepo, and Restrepo is considered to
the
be
greatest Miami. He has the most yards, most receptions, most touchdowns, I think, for a wide receiver in Miami history.
Yeah, and he's considered like one of the top slot receivers.
Yeah,
And we've seen how some of these slot receivers, Lab McConkey, have done in the NFL. So it's not like he's throwing to slouches either. So it doesn't really make sense. But that just happens with guys like that who transfer and then have one good year. And you can throw Chip Kelly into that too.
He had 2 good years though. That's what I'm saying. At Kansas State, he was like, he had Kansas State in it, and I guess the Big 12 doesn't get talked about that way.
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't. Even though Arizona State took Texas to the wire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, legitimately took them to the wire. They were the champion, came out of nowhere. BYU, I think, could have held their own against a lot of different teams. Big 12 obviously loses Texas and Oklahoma, and everybody thinks that they're a weaker conference or whatever. It's like, this dude was great at Kansas State. That's why Miami wanted him. That's why Ohio State wanted him. And then he goes into a system that is obviously more conducive for him to be a pocket passer because of all the weapons they have. He hasn't even really showcased his running. He started doing during the playoffs there, but like, I don't get.
Maybe that's the thing. Maybe because of the evolution of the quarterback and the quarterback play, and you see some the Lamar Jacksons and whatnot, the type of offense that people want to run. Maybe that's got a little bit of.
But he can move.
Yeah,
he can move.
But I don't see him moving like those guys move, like Lamar moves, and some of these guys running the RPOs and the read option, the zone read.
I
see some quarterback runs, some traps, some powers. He's big. He can get the 3rd and 1s like Josh Allen.
Allen's pretty good.
He is pretty good. Not bad. Wyoming.
6'4", 240.
You also said like them, like the whole Big 12 thing. Like he didn't play in that Big 12 that everyone's like. It's not like Texas and Oklahoma were in the Big 12, and he was the Big 12 Player of the Year. And also for all like the talent, you still have to show up. They beat 3 top 5 teams in a row when he was the quarterback. Like that. I don't know. I mean, I still think he's going to go to the combine and just absolutely light it on fire, not just in the interviews, but I think it's going to come out that he's a much better athlete than people give him credit for as well.
I think so too. I can't wait to talk to Daniel Jeremiah in the next hour about it all. Big news today, all the finalists for the awards have been announced. Congrats to the AP getting that done. Congrats to AP Tone getting your votes in. Offensive Player of the Year is obviously a massive one because this normally goes to the person that isn't a quarterback. Because the quarterback normally going to win the MVP. We all assume Saquon Barkley is going to win this, but hey, could be anybody else. Could be. And Josh Allen not even being a finalist for the Offensive Player of the Year tells you a little something too about this entire voting process. Lamar Jackson, finalist for Offensive Player of the Year, finalist for NFL MVP as well, which is Josh Allen, Saquon Barkley, Joe Burrow, Jared Goff, Lamar Jackson. These are not in any order. These are just a list of the finalists. And then Defensive Player of the Year obviously was announced. Zach Bond getting in there. Shout out to him having a massive year. Myles Garrett, Trey Hendrickson, Patrick in second, and TJ Watt getting in there. And then Comeback Player of the Year. Also finalists were announced. And this is a big one. This is a conversation because Joe Burrow obviously injured, came back. J.K. Dobbins injured, came back. Christian Gonzalez
missed 13 games,
came back. Tamar Hamlin, I think we all know what happened with it within the last 2 years. I guess it was last season. Sam Darnold that was active, I believe, for 17 games.